Hello and welcome to Drishti IS. My name is Saloni Nankulier, and in this video we will discuss the ongoing crisis in West Asia, especially after US's bombardment of Iranian nuclear facilities. So on 22nd of June, US launched an airstrike on three Iranian nuclear facilities, and those three facilities were Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. So these three nuclear sites or uranium enrichment sites were identified and targeted by the US in this airstrike, and US made use of something known as the stealth B-2 bombers. So these B-2 bombers are the greatest non-nuclear weaponry any country possesses, and they are high stealth weaponry, which means that they have a very low radar signature. They cannot easily be intercepted and destroyed using a radar because they are made up of radio wave absorbing material. So instead of reflecting the radio waves back to the radar, they absorb radio waves. So that is one of the reasons that it is not easy to destroy these missiles. And this B-2 bomber was used to drop bunker busting bombs on the Fordo uranium enrichment plant. So an extraordinary achievement of US in this airstrike was that it was able to target the Fordo uranium enrichment plant. Why? Because Fordo is not located on ground level. It is deep seated inside a mountain. Which mountain? The Zagros mountain range in Iran. So it is 250 to 350 feet deep seated inside the mountain, and these B-2 bombers could drop bunker busting bombs which went underground, and then they targeted the Fordo uranium enrichment facility. So this is an extraordinary thing that happened. And one possible reason here is that on 12th of June, Israel had launched Operation Rising Lion on Iran, which had severely destroyed Iran's air defense system. So Iran's air defense system was already compromised, and 10 days later, US used these missiles, these bombers, to attack Iran. So Iran was not able to intercept and destroy these missiles that were being used. So these are some possible reasons that this could be carried out on such a large scale. And this marks a shift from the passive to active military involvement by the US. So till now, US had not involved itself directly and officially in the Iran-Israel conflict. Till now, there were only speculations that US is supporting Israel underground or indirectly by giving it the weaponry and everything. But with this attack, US has made its stance clear that now it is directly involved in the Iran-Israel conflict. And in retaliation, Iran has launched a series of ballistic missiles which are aimed at Israeli military bases and infrastructure. So what does Israel has as its air defense system? So Israel has the Iron Dome system. It has a multi-layer air defense system. So it has Iron Dome, it has David Sling, Arrow 2 and Arrow 3. So Iron Dome takes care of short range missiles. Then it has David Sling, which takes care of mid and long range missiles. Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 take care of the long range ballistic missile type threats. So Israel is making use of this multi-layer air defense system, but this is also not able to cope up with the missiles that Iran is targeting. Why? Because Iran is making use of the multiple proxies that it has. So it is overwhelming the Iron Dome defense system. It is launching multiple missiles at Israel at the same time from multiple locations. So the air defense system of Israel is also being overwhelmed and saturated, and this is the retaliation that Iran is doing right now. But with US's involvement, we can see that the policy that Trump used to follow is now changed. So in his presidential campaigns, both in 2016 and 2024, Trump made it clear that it will not involve America in quote unquote endless wars, and it will reduce US foreign interventions. And when it withdrew its troops from Afghanistan, that was a step in this direction. But now, with its involvement in the Iran Israel conflict, we see a shift in Trump's policies that now it is directly involving itself in the conflicts of West Asia. It has now entered a conflict in the Middle East. And for this, to understand why US is so interested in Iran, we'll have to go back to 2015 and trace US-Iran conflict. So in 2015, there was a JCPOA or Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which was signed between Iran and P5+1. So those countries were US, UK, France, Russia, China, and Germany. So in this, Iran had agreed to limit its uranium enrichment to a certain level, and in return, the countries will not be imposing any economic sanctions on Iran. But in 2018, when Trump was the president, USA unilaterally withdrew from the US from the JCPOA, and in turn, Iran started retaliating by further increasing its uranium enrichment facility to the previous agreed level, beyond the previous agreed levels. So these kind of started the escalations in the West Asian region. And after this, we see that a series of attacks kept on happening. The escalation increased. Conflict spilled into Persian Gulf and the Red Sea area because we see Iran's proxies also in play, which are Hamas, Houthis, and Hezbollahs coming in from different countries. So proxy warfare also came into play, and then we had Operation Rising Line, then the Operation Midnight Hammer that US has now used for its airstrike. So a series of attacks have been there in play, and in return, Iran's parliament has passed a proposal to block the Strait of Hormuz, which is a major global oil trade route. Approximately 20% of the world's oil trade, it happens to Strait of Hormuz. Here is the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has control over this strait, and 20% of world's oil trade happens to this strait. Parliament has already proposed, has accepted the proposal, and we are not yet sure if this is going to happen. But if it does, then the oil prices, they're already rising and they're definitely going to rise even more, and risk for broader regional conflict will increase. So what are India's concerns right now? First of all, India has approximately 9 million Indian citizens living in the Middle Eastern region. We had already launched Operation Sindhu to evacuate our Indians from the Indian citizens from Iran, but we still have a lot of people stuck in the conflict zone, and we'll have to do something about their evacuation. Then 60% of India's energy needs come from this region, not directly from Iran, because especially after 2015, when economic sanctions were imposed on Iran, we had started diversifying our routes for energy dependency. And especially after the Ukraine Russia conflict in 2022, we had started relying more on Ukraine for our energy needs. So, not directly on Iran for our energy needs, but the Strait of Hormuz is something that we are concerned about, because our trade route or energy trade also follows that strait. And operations at Bandar Abbas port have been suspended. So Bandar Abbas port is a major port in Iran. It is at the Strait of Hormuz. And because the Strait of Hormuz might also be closed in near future, for now, Bandar Abbas operations have been suspended. And this is directly connected. So all our trade, it flows from here. Our naval trade flows from Kandla. We also have Gwadar is in Pakistan. Then we have Chabar port in Iran that India developed. And then we have Bandar Abbas port right now where the operations are suspended. So we'll have to follow a longer trade route if this remains suspended. And other than the oil and energy requirements, India also has strong trade relations with Israel and Iran. So India exports 15 to 16% of basmati to Iran. Other than basmati, we also export tea, especially Assam. It exports 25,000 tons of tea to Iran. And Israel is also our trading partner. So if there's any conflict in the region, our trade is also going to be badly impacted, which is something that's bad for India's economy. And we have the India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, which is connecting India to Greece. And it moves through UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel. It is not passing directly through Iran, but it passes through Israel, and it passes through the Middle Eastern region. So any instability in the Middle Eastern region again is going to hamper this trade route. So right now, India has urged for dialogue and diplomacy. As always, we focus on keeping a neutral stance, and we focus on maintaining diplomatic talks with the parties concerned. So that is what is India has urged both Iran and Israel to do. But this also raises a bigger question. Like after this attack, what is the future of Iran's nuclear power capabilities? Because three of its major nuclear sites have been targeted. So what lies in the future for Iran's nuclear capabilities? Because it might have taken Iran decades back in its nuclear program. So the Fordo facility, which is deeply buried under the Zagros mountain, it was targeted in the US strike. And despite these attacks and sanctions, previously also we have seen, especially after the 2015 sanctions also, we saw that Iran's scientific community has always continued nuclear development. But the global attention now is that after this massive attack, after this attack where even Fordo was targeted, which was deep seated, so after this attack, what is Iran going to do? Is it still going to continue with its nuclear capabilities, or it is going to deter its nuclear capabilities and stop its uranium enrichment? Because always Iran has maintained a stance that even when there were talks about it leaving NPT, that it is not going to leave NPT because it wants to build a nuclear bomb. Its nuclear enrichment facility or uranium enrichment programs, they are all for peaceful purposes, but the intelligence operations that US has, they have suggested otherwise, and they believe that Iran was very close to creating a nuclear bomb. That is how they are justifying this attack on Iran. And what is the future of all these escalations? Because of all these things, evacuation has become a major concern. If you look at this map here, this is the airspace map of the Middle East. And there are no flights right now over Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Israel, because of the conflict that is going on in the region. And because of these things, our evacuation programs become very, very difficult. We have a huge diaspora living in this region, in the entire Middle East, and their safety and security is our topmost priority. But with closed airspaces, we'll have to look for other alternatives to get them back home. And it can also create access, something that we saw during Cold War also. This is likely that it could create access where you will have US, the NATO allies, and Israel on one side, and you could have Russia, Iran, and the proxies like Hamas and Houthis on the other side. Though Russia has not openly or officially confirmed that it is going to support Iran, because there are a lot of Russian speaking population who live in Israel, and Russia maintains bonds with both Iran and Israel. But there could be situations where it starts supporting Iran indirectly. So that could also be a possibility. And then we could have two axes created similar to what was there in Cold War times. An energy security crisis is definitely going to be there if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and it is closed for a prolonged period of time. So what is the road ahead for India? India needs to keep continuing its neutral stance as we're already doing. We just need to keep continuing our neutral stance and strengthen diversification for our energy needs, as the closure of Strait of Hormuz will impact India's oil trade, and maintain diplomatic talks with Iran and Israel to evacuate Indian citizens safely, just as what we did in Operation Sindhu. So that was all for today's video. Let us look at a practice question for prelims. Consider the following statements regarding the Fordo facility and recent US-Iran developments. The Fordo uranium enrichment plant is located underground within a mountain in Iran. 2. The US used B-2 stealth bombers to neutralize the site. And the India-Middle East-Europe economic corridor passes through Iran. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 and 3 only. B. 2 and 3 only. C. 1 and 2 only. D. 1 only. Please provide your answers in the comment section. We can only hope for stability in the Middle Eastern region and get our citizens back to safety as soon as possible.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.